Hey everybody, this is Raul with Bass Musician Magazine, and today we have the great honor and pleasure of chatting with bassist and musical director Lionel Dean Jarvis. Many of you will recognize Dean for his work with Nelly Furtado and Alyssia Cara currently. Before we talk about what's going on now, let's go back to the past. How did you get started in music and on bass?
Well, I got started, me and my brother went to a place in Toronto called The Forum that's closed down now. It was a concert venue, and we went to see Natalie Cole. And we stood there, and I looked at my brother and I said, I want to do that. I was watching the bass player, I was like, he's so cool, I want to do that. So that made up my mind then that that's what I wanted to do. And then I just started to buy my own, I actually got my first bass for my 16th birthday.
Nice.
Yeah, and it was a El Degas bass. It was like a fake P bass. And then I bought all my Mel Bay books, learned how to play bass books. And from then I'm self-taught, so I went from volume 1, volume 2, all the way up to the Rufus Reed book, which is absolutely incredible. Meanwhile, taking music in high school, I did that as well, so that helped as well. And it's funny, I never played bass in high school until my last year. I played clarinet, which was pretty funny. But I couldn't stand it. I couldn't play it properly anyways, but that's how I got started.
Many times when musicians have exposure to other instruments, especially as you occupy the seat of being a musical director, it gives you some insight into dealing with, you know, the other parts of the band, and more so like if you've got a horn section or any of that.
You have to know music theory. Let's start there. Music theory. You have to know that. You know, being a music director, you have to understand the keys that the instruments are coming at you in, and know how to write the parts for them. If you need to write, a lot of people, you know, don't write anymore. You know, it's all computer. I can write music. I can score music, and I think that helps me a lot with when I'm putting a band together and the different pieces of the band. So I hear parts in my head that I can easily play for you on the piano, I can play for you on my bass, or I can write it out for you. You know what I mean? And I find a lot of string sections and a lot of horn sections, they prefer it written out, as opposed to, you know, trying to remember any parts or anything. And I prefer it too, because in that way it's consistent. It is what it is, and that's it. You know what I mean? So you have to have a vast knowledge of theory, music theory, to be able to understand all the pieces that you're putting together. Otherwise, you know, how do you augment on certain parts, and how do you change the key? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so some keyboard players, they can press a button and now you're in a different key. But, you know, as far as horn players and guitar players, bass players, you got to be able to change the key. And you got to know what key you're starting in to be able to change to what you're going to, right? All of that has helped me throughout the years with the knowledge of theory. By grade 12, I was teaching my grade 12 class. My teacher would take a break, and I would teach the grade 12 class.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was a great experience as well.
Well, and a lot of times, one of the best ways to know if you actually have captured a concept is to have to present it to somebody else.
Yes.
And kind of break it down, because then that really proves that you're not just spitting it out, that you're actually grasping and understanding it.
I remember a show with Nelly Furtado and Aretha Franklin at Radio City Music Hall, and her orchestra. And as Nelly was walking on, she didn't feel well. So she says to me, Dean, can we drop the key? my heart goes to my throat. And of course the answer is, of course. So I'm taking all the big music back, and I'm like, this is this now, this is this. Here we go. Yeah. And I did the best I could, and great musicians in Aretha's orchestra, and it was bang. But had they not had the ability and the music theory behind them, they couldn't do that either. They couldn't, you know, be able to do some of the sections where we say, okay, down a tone, and they play it down a tone. And some of them I would rewrite for them, and, you know, but it all comes back to that. That's the basis, the roots of being a musician to me. To me, I mean, there are guys that play by ear, and that's fantastic too. But doing what I do, you have to have the basics of music, which starts in theory.
You were talking kind of like from the early high school years. How did you end up progressing into more of the professional mode?
Well, I started playing around town. We had our own family band, and we played bars, and that did its course. And then I wanted to keep going, so then I started playing with other people around town, and started doing it as a living just in Toronto itself. Back then, there was a lot of bars we could play at. Live music was everywhere, in Toronto. It's kind of hard now, I hear, but it was everywhere. So I remember playing, like you could play a bar in Toronto 4 nights in a row. It's sort of like a mini residency, but now that doesn't really exist. So you had to hop from, like I played in like probably 10 bands at the same time. You know what I mean? Just to make ends meet, because the pay obviously wasn't that good, but I had to sustain, right? So I just went that route and just stayed there, and then was looking for something bigger every day, It's the only way to do it.
What was that break? What was the big opportunity that came up that made that transition for you?
I'm trying to remember, there's so many, but the one that I remember the most would be Nelly Furtado. I think that was one that was consistent, and it was more like an employee kind of, if I could say employee kind of gig. You knew you had 1,000 dates, and these were the countries, and this, it was some other bands like George Clinton. Like George Clinton would have like 20 people on stage at the same time, so it wasn't like a regular, consistent thing. You know what I mean? It was, but Nelly was big, and she had dates all over the world. So that would be the one that took me. I should say that'd be the one that took me out of the country on a consistent basis. So that would be, I guess, the break, I should say.
Gotcha.
It was most consistent.
As we fast forward to Alyssia, right now she's got going the Pains of Growing tour. Lots of releases, new videos accompanying the new EP.
Yeah, the new EP is absolutely incredible. Alessia, to me, is incredible in the sense that she's got a great voice, she's a great writer, she's a great human being, and I love working with her. The whole camp, from management, Chris Smith management, to all the guys in the band, to all the guys in the crew, we were all like family. Her dad comes out with us, he's a great guy, and she works really hard, and we just finished the Shawn Mendes tour, which was pretty insane. I think we left March 3rd. I mean, we did all of Europe, took a little break, did all of Canada. It's just the Alessia tour. And we just finished, I think last week, all of America.
Wow.
And now I have off a few weeks, and then we're coming back to America on her tour. Everybody buy your tickets. We're coming back on her tour, doing all of America again. She works hard, and it's just been a great experience with the camp. And I've been with the camp for a long time, because they're also managers of Nelly Furtado. So, we go way back. It's been a great experience with her and the team, and I'm looking forward to the future and what's coming up next, because her new EP, every time she puts something out, to me it's better than the last thing. You know what I mean? Like, she's that kind of artist. I'm sure if she wrote a song today, it'd be better than what she wrote yesterday. It keeps it exciting, and I love, as a matter of fact, like I was saying earlier, I thought her interview was tomorrow, so I was actually editing some of the stems for her fall tour. I had to stop, but that's part of the job, right?
Yeah, we would definitely want people to get out and see you guys, live music, performance. The best place to look for the tour dates would be at AlyssiaCarter.com.
.com, yes, AlyssiaCarter.com.
Perfect.
Buy your tickets. It's a great show. You'll have fun. It sounds amazing, and you'll love it.
Very, very cool. On the same topic, and it's kind of one of the things, as I was reflecting back, I know that we look at young performers many times as kind of a phenomenon. But if you look at music, I think many of the great acts came from young people. So the significant work that they did wasn't when they were kind of old and grizzly. It was when they're young and they're fresh, and
Yes.
they have a perspective on life, and they're full of hope, and
Yeah.
that kind of energy. And I know they've described her as being the voice of the millennials.
Yes. She's beyond fresh to me because I tell you honestly, like I could sit here with a guitar and play her 3 chords, and she'll bang out a verse, a bridge, and a chorus in probably 5 minutes.
Wow.
You know, she's that talented. She's fresh. She knows what's happening with her generation and how to relate to that generation. You know, which is so important for an artist like her because she's at the forefront of voice. Like you know what I mean? Like her voice. A lot of kids like the song "Scars," for example. "Scars to You Beautiful." I've had kids come up to me as I'm walking into the venue crying because, you know, they have a scar from their hip to their ankle that's really deep, and the song helped lift them, you know what I mean, and took them out of the dark place. And I've heard that story so many times about that song, "Scars to You Beautiful." You know, her songs are relatable, which I think is so important today for that generation. They're looking for something to relate to that they can identify with and, you know, and just be a part of it. And I think Alessia is that voice.
Speaking of voice, we should talk about how you get your particular sound, because you influence also how that music comes across. What are you playing with as far as gear?
I just happened, like I said, I was editing. I just happened to have one of my Spectres here. So I'm playing Spectre basses with Dario strings, 40s, and EMG pickups. I have EMG pickups on it. This is a Euro 5 bass that I have here. This is going through an Eden World Tour amp ahead with an Eden 410 XLT cabinet. I have the DI on the bass and Telefunken 82 on my cabinet. Nice. So the combination of those two goes to front of house, and my front of house guy, Dave Haynes, gives the wonderful mix of those two, get the proper blend. You know, because in arenas, you got to be careful. It's not too muddy and not too boomy. So he gets the perfect mixture of both. The important thing is the DI is radio DI 8. I think I always use those because they're passive and they're just very clean. At one point, I also took a direct out of the head, which was great as well. You know, worked pretty well, but it was very hot. So now we use both.
And I've also noticed that at times you play upright NS Design.
NS Design 5-string. It's older. It's one of the first ones. I think it's probably about 15 years old. But you know what? It still sounds incredible. I played in her song "Out of Love," which is a slow song, very orchestrated. And so I used to play bass on it, and I thought, you know what? I got the idea when we were playing on Jimmy Fallon and we used a cellist. I thought, man, I think it'd be really cool if I played upright on this. So I brought out the upright and haven't turned back since. It just adds so much, you know, with the slides and the, you know, it's more expressive on fretless, playing a slow song than on a fretted instrument sometimes. So that upright just sounds gorgeous. And that's going through an Avalon, which helps a lot. So I curve off a lot of the bottom end. I dip that way low and use a lot of the low mids and up, just to get that wind, you know, that kind of vibe. I call it the Jocko vibe. I use that in that song specifically. That's the only one I use it in for now, but I'm sure in the future I'll be using it a lot more because I hear it sounds amazing in front of house. So.
Nice.
Yeah.
Are there any other elements or any important things that help you deliver the sound and express yourself?
I also have a Moog Voyager that I use in a lot of the more upbeat tunes. It depends on the song. The Voyager is special to me because it just has, I can control it on the spot with all the, you know, I believe it or not, I barely preset anything. I have my stock sound and I adjust manually. So I know that's pretty strange, but it works for me. And at front of house, they love it. And I use that. And I also have a Native Instruments keyboard as well, which I play notes on, and pianos and organs. And I don't know if you've seen the show, but you'll see I have a big drum. We all have these big pancake drums that we play for breakdowns and things like that. And an SPD I have that as well. Because the band is small, it's a three-piece band, we all have to play multiple things, which is great. Which is great for me because I get to express myself in different ways with different instruments, right?
Looking ahead, I know you've got the tour coming up. What does the future hold? What are the plans?
Well, we're going to do this tour and basically take it from there. I'm sure she'll have some more new music because she writes so fast. I'm sure she'll have something out after this EP. She'll probably do another album, probably another tour, some TV spots. I'm not quite sure yet. I haven't heard from management yet what the plan was, but I know she's not going to stop. She's always out there, and she's a very creative girl. You know what I mean? So when you're creative like that, you have to express yourself. And she's got a great platform to do that.
I'm sure this is pretty all-encompassing for you, but do you have any other projects that you yourself are working on, or is this pretty much got your 100% attention at this time?
Right now, this has got my 100% attention because, like I said, we've been gone since March, and there's been so much work that I haven't been able to really touch any other clients at this point. I mean, I will in the future, and looking forward to that and just expanding, you know what I mean? Because I love putting bands together. I love programming the show. I love working with human beings on that aspect musically, and especially the younger guys coming up, you know. I like offering them, you know, things that they wouldn't learn in college, because there's things that we learn on the road that they're not going to be able to teach you. It's like experiences, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You know, helping them to get to that point quicker. You know, from bar, and I always say this, from bar to arena is a different ballgame. You even have to play differently, you know, because you're dealing with a big hall with a high roof. You have to play differently, you know. So I like to give that knowledge to them as well, and help them to get to that level. It makes me very, very, very happy.
I think one of the key things that many times comes across from more veteran performers is also kind of teaching behavior, because one of the key things that is kind of like sometimes the end of groups is their inability to get along together. You know?
Yeah, totally. I mean, when I put a band together, I'm not just putting together musicians. I can get any musicians that are fantastic. I'm putting together personalities.
Yeah.
Okay, because you're going to be on a tour bus, and you know, depending on how big the band is, the next person could be right here, and they're there all day. So you better get along, right? So you know, one of the things that I try to teach them as well is how to behave on a tour. How to behave on a bus, mm-hmm. How to behave in front of the label, very important.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like all of these things are so important because that could end your gig. It could end your gig in a second. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's better to be invisible. You know, like all of these things are important to keeping your job. You know, and I try to show everybody that, to the point where they're comfortable on your tour. And sometimes, you know, they got to realize it's not about them. It's about the artist. It's about the project. It's not about you. You know, I mean, we all try as a bass player, you know, I want to make sure I have my best gear out with me and I'm doing the best job I can. That's all you need to do. You don't need to get up in their business. You don't need to be, you know what I mean? You need to sometimes be invisible, like I said. And a lot of the times, people don't understand that. You know, it's not about you. So what? You have 4 guitar solos. It's not about you. You know what I mean? I mean, unless you're a band. Unless you're a band. I'm talking strictly about somebody who is supporting an artist, which happens more often than bands. You don't see many bands anymore. Not in the pop world anyways.
And even if you're the headliner, if you can't get along with your band, you're going to be up there alone. I mean, so it goes both ways.
Yeah, it totally does. You know, the support on both ends is important because, you know, it makes the tour a lot smoother and, you know, less stressful, and everybody can concentrate on the music instead of the personal, and just do what you're hired to do. And the artist, you know, feels so much more comfortable when the back is supported. I did a gig with Benny King. His thing to me was, when I do this, that means chorus. When I do this, that means take me to the bridge. And I'm like, so I'm supposed to watch you and then tell the band? And he's like, yes. And then we rehearsed in sound check, and I got it. And he looked back at me and he said, I feel comfortable now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you got to make them feel like they're not out there alone.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you got them. Wherever they're going, you're going with them. You got their back. And that's another thing that I like to teach guys coming up as well, is you got to be adaptable. You can't just, this is what I learned in college. No, every situation is different. So you got to be adaptable.
I know lastly we talked, your website is in progress as we speak, but if people also want to stay on top of maybe your projects, where's the best place to look?
Lionel D. Jarvis on Instagram.
Very, very nice. Well, Lionel, we appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule, especially with our day confusion. We're so glad we could make this work. Folks, make sure you see Alyssia Cara coming to a venue, a town performance hall near you. I know that they're going to be in the great, not sunny Northwest, but they're going to be all over the place. So just kind of pay attention to AlyssiaCara.com for those dates and those locations. And folks, you've seen him here, Lionel Dean Jarvis, coming to you on Bass Musician Magazine.